Well, hello there, and welcome to the latest episode of Louie's Drawn Fun Times. I'm your host, Louie, and today we'll be talking about something that a lot of people have been asking about, and that is GIF animation in Photoshop. I'll talk about Flash animation at a later point, because that's a whole other thing to itself, so stay tuned for that. But what we have here is, we have a day-to-night animation that's going to be featuring Fuji Apple hanging out right in the middle. He'll be snoozing along right in the daytime, and he'll be sitting by a warm fire at night. Maybe he's in between some quests or dungeons or something, on a side quest. Anyway, so what I did here was, at the beginning you saw, I had a day background already painted, just because I wanted to save time. Also, I didn't start recording. And then I just duplicated it and put it on top. And here I'm painting the night background. So I'm just tweaking the original to make it look night. So that includes, tinting with blue and painting the sky a different color, painting in stars, which is of course my favorite thing, and doing all sorts of things like that. And soon I'll be fading in between the day and night background. So that'll be the animation, and there'll also be a little animation of Fuji sleeping and Fuji sitting by the fire. So here's the little light of the fire I'm painting here. Animation is a pretty broad concept in general, and it's very complicated, and I'm not an expert on it by any means of the imagination. But I guess what I like to do is animate for efficiency. So I like to work really quickly, and usually when I make a short, like the shorts you've seen on YouTube, on my channel, or on Tumblr and things, it's usually like a really quick idea. I just get the idea, and I have to make it. And just that night I do. And it's all in one sitting, all in one go. So I work really quickly, but it's kind of at a sacrifice of more development and more character into things, and someday I would like to make something a little more fleshed out, a little more developed. Longer than a minute, hopefully. So we'll see if I get around to that. Anyway, right now I'm painting the light that's hitting this lily-like plant of some kind, I guess, from the fire. I guess I should talk about more of the technical stuff of making GIFs in Photoshop. So at the bottom you see I've got the animation parentheses frames panel. And this is where all the little animation will happen, the timing and stuff. I know that in CS6 and above, I believe, you can get an extension that makes an animation panel that's more like Flash, so it's got like a timeline and stuff. But I have CS5, so I'm working with what I got. And in it, you'll set the timing, and when you make a new frame in it, it like makes a duplicate of the previous one, and then you tweak that one with the layers and the opacity, and you can add new layers and stuff to animate it, basically. So it's kind of a different mindset from what you have in Flash. There's a reasonable amount of things you can do with the Photoshop animation stuff. You can have individual layers, change blending modes between frames. You can animate layer styles or whatever they're called, or the effects that you have, like drop shadows and stuff. It's pretty powerful, but also limiting in the fact you can't just see what's happening over the course of a lot of frames. You have to like go through it. So Photoshop animation is kind of cumbersome, but it is pretty powerful in certain ways. So right now, I painted the sleepy Fuji, and now I'll start painting the Fuji sitting by the fire. So I'm just switching back and forth between my two groups that contain each of the backgrounds, and just to see, where Fuji will be. Yeah, I guess, I'm still painting. I haven't really got to the animation bit yet. So I'll let the guitar take over here, have a little solo, me. Hey, I'm back. That was a pretty nice solo, wasn't it? So, now that most of the painting is pretty much done, I can go on to animating stuff. So, soon I'll be animating the fire here, and I think I'll have about 3 frames of animation for the fire, just to keep it alive. And what I do is, on the same frame of animation, I make a new layer on top of the old fire, and I just kind of paint a new shape. And just make it consistent, same colors and stuff, and just keep checking in between them to see whether it works or not. And then I make a third one, a little squashed fire here going on. And after I've drawn these 3 frames, I don't test them out. Usually I would test them out, but I think they'll work well enough. So I just keep on moving on. And now I'm going to be painting Fuji Sleeping. So he's going to be moving up and down, breathing. Apples don't breathe. They don't have lungs, but Fuji does, I guess, because he's a game character, so he can breathe. So Photoshop is slightly weird because you can't rotate or distort a layer and not have it affect all subsequent instances of that layer, if you know what I mean. So you can change the opacity of a layer between different frames and it will still keep the same drawing. It's just you can change the opacity. But if you rotate it at all or tweak it at all, then all the next versions of it will be different. So you have to make a duplicate of it anyway, is what I'm getting to. So that's what I did. I duplicated Fuji, and now he's got a little breathing going on. So it's pretty nice, right? You can tweak the timing of it to work better. So now here comes the part where I transition into nighttime. So I turned on the second group and just kind of, eyeball my way up the opacity meter, just going up to nighttime. And that works well enough for that. And it's really fun to do this kind of stuff. If you want to do a test of GIF animation in Photoshop, you can't go wrong with just making a day to night loop because it's really simple. So now I'm just turning on the fire. So on each different frame of the fire moving, I turn off the old fire and turn on the new fire layer, and I just keep going in a loop. And that works well enough for that. That's mostly how you do frame by frame, at least for me anyway. So now I'm transitioning back to daytime. So there you have it. You have going to day, going to night, going to day. And it'll just be like that in infinite loop. I really like making GIFs because it's just kind of a way you can encapsulate a mood and a feeling in a short image that people can look at and kind of understand immediately. I like to explore all different kinds of looks for GIFs and stuff. It's kind of an easy way to explore a different look in animation without having to make a whole short devoted to it or something. It's kind of like an animation test. And you can kind of tell whole stories using GIFs. Some people have been making GIF webcomics, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that basically covers that GIF. And there's one more last thing that I want to talk about before saying goodbye to everybody. And that's the exporting process of a GIF. Now, GIFs, at least for Tumblr, you have to be under 2 megabytes. So that's a pretty important thing you gotta hit, otherwise it won't move. So what you can do is you can tweak in the top right corner, you can tweak the number of colors, you can tweak the type of whatever color dithering it is or whatever it is. So depending on your preferences, sometimes using less colors can make it more interesting. And anyway, after you've completed your GIF, you can just watch it and enjoy it forever because they loop. Well, that's about covers it. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time on Louie's Drawn Fun Times.